Hi, welcome to another travel video by Gary Rose Travels. Please click like and subscribe for more videos, and also visit GaryRoseTravels.com for all the best budget backpacker advice. And you can now find Gary Rose Travels on Facebook. So this video is the first part in this series titled India Backpacking Budget 2019. So as you can guess, this video is dedicated to all things to do with India travel budget for the new year. Now, India is a country which is progressing and progressing fast. So perhaps some of the information that is out there, especially online, is a little outdated, and also I found to be not very realistic. So please watch this video and please read my post for an up-to-date overview of what to expect for your money when you visit India. So, as I said, India is a country which is progressing on a huge scale. Over the last 10 years that Gary and I have been travelling to India, we have noticed a huge increase in standards of living and welfare across the country. Now, in some parts of India, gone are the cheap backpacker hostels and guest houses that were really popular when we first started travelling, and in some areas it's nigh on impossible to get budget backpacker digs. They no longer cater for low spend, long stay tourists. So really this post is about giving you a heads up on where to head to and where to not, also what to expect for the daily costs. So basically, India is still affordable to travel in. However, they are now wanting to attract a different type of tourist, with e-visas now being available. This attracts high spend, low stay tourism. So if you're getting an e-visa, it's much cheaper to get. It's perhaps free for you to get, to apply. You're granted it for a month. Perhaps you're only going to India for 2 or 3 weeks, so you're high spend, low stay tourism. So these are the people that India is attracting to its shores. Now, they are still attracting long stay backpackers like ourselves. However, in some areas they are kind of being forced out a little. So really you need to do your research before you rock up, because your money is not going to go very far. So now the Indian people are experiencing a much higher standard of living than they had before. This is a great thing. It means that their health is on the rise, and there's now much more access to clean drinking water, to sanitation. There's also less pollution in India. There's a lot more free education. Government schools are popping up all over the place, especially in rural India, which is really good. So as the standard of living goes up for the people of the country, the costs go up, which is quite widespread as well. So these are all things that we have to take on board in 2019. Also, we found in India that they have now reached the digital age, and in the cities especially, there are things like Uber and Tinder now, because I would say most Indians now have phones, and most have a smartphone now, which is quite shocking. You don't expect to see it, but they do. Most people have smartphones and mobile phones, and a lot of people, especially the young ones, are now using it for Uber and Tinder and things. So the digital age has well and truly reached India. So because of these things, there's going to be a knock-on effect, and rising costs are widespread. So first of all, why can you travel on a budget in India? Because you can still travel on a budget, and we will still travel on a budget in India. So basically you can still travel on a budget in India if you do your research and you set out your budget prior to arriving. Also the country is really big, and if you're travelling across it slowly, and if you're using public transport, this means you will be able to travel longer for cheaper. Basically public equals cheap in India. Anyone who's travelled by public bus or public train will know that public equals cheap. So this is one of the ways that you can travel across there for cheap. Also, the exchange rate, if you're exchanging pounds or euros, then chances are you'll get a really good exchange rate. India and England still have quite a good relationship. even though we exploited them, took their resources, we still have quite a good relationship, and the pound is still quite strong in India, as is the euro. So if you're exchanging pounds or euros, expect quite a good exchange rate. Now, India, you can exchange most currencies in India, but really the main ones are dollars, pounds and euros. If you are travelling pounds and euros, then usually the exchange rate is pretty good. What else have we got for travelling on a budget? Now, the exchange rate can fluctuate daily, so sometimes you can end up making more on the exchange, sometimes you can end up losing a little, so you do have to keep your eye on it, but it's usually quite high, so that's quite good. So how to work out the exchange rate in India? So first of all, you need to work out your daily spend. And I have one more travel video all about budgets and daily spends. If you want to watch that, check it out on my YouTube channel. However, I'm also going to cover it here. So first of all, you need to calculate your estimated daily spend. Now, to do this, you take the amount in pounds you're going to spend each day and you multiply it by the given exchange rate. So today, the government of India are offering an exchange rate of 90.4, which is a really good exchange rate. So for every £1, you're going to get 90.4 rupees. So I recommend a budget, a handsome budget. This is for somebody, a first-time backpacker in India, a handsome budget of £25 a day in India. This is a handsome budget. It doesn't have to be that high, but I'd say for a first-time backpacker, £25 a day is a nice amount of money. So yeah, £25 a day for one person. And also, if you have a handsome budget, it will really help you out until you kind of figure out what it is you're spending and what it is you're not. So to do this, you multiply 25 by 90.4, which equals at rupees 2,260. Don't be worried about the large amount of rupees that you get, because I know it's something that we're not used to in Europe, with the decimal place being forward and there being lots of noughts. I got quite confused with it. I'll talk about that. So it equals at 2,260 rupees a day. If you're travelling with cash, it's quite easy to estimate how much money you're going to make, because it's all quite clear cut. You can see the exchange rate, you can see your cash, you can work it out. If you're travelling with card and you're having to make withdrawals, you have to remember that the bank machine itself is going to charge you. You might be charged for using your card, and they then don't give you a very good exchange rate. So if you are travelling with cash, you can usually get your head around how much money you're going to make, how much they're going to take, much easier than it is to use the cash machine. That's one reason why we always travel with cash. So just do bear that in mind if you are only travelling with and using card machine. So first of all, to be a money savvy backpacker, when you first arrive in India, you have decided that your daily budget is £25 a day. When you get to the airport, you want to change just enough money to get you to a hotel, perhaps in a taxi, perhaps on a bus. So you probably want to change up a day's budget or a day and a half at the very most. Now, in the airport, the exchange rate is really, really bad. Doesn't matter what airport you go to, doesn't matter where you are in the world, airport exchange rates are always really bad. However, you can use this tip wherever you are in the world. It's not always applicable to India, it can be applicable wherever you are, and we've used this no matter where we are, this tip. So you arrive at the airport, you take enough to get you to the hotel and in a taxi. So the exchange at the airport is 86.0, bearing in mind it's 90.4 out in the streets, so it's quite a lot lower. It's like four rupees less you're going to get in the airport. They're going to take 4 rupees for themselves. So yeah, we're going to change up one day's money at a rate of 86.0. Don't worry about this low amount. You will get 2,150 rupees for your money, and that will now become your base rate daily spend. So although you we're going to have 2,260, we're going to say that's not applicable. We're going to call it a base rate of 2,150, and you're going to say that each day in India, that's how much you've got to spend, because anything you make on top of that goes in your pocket, you see. So you tell yourself you have a lower rate, and you base your daily spend on the base rate in the airport, and anything you make on top of that is extra, which I will talk about in a later video for the pros of having this extra money and what to do with it best. So you have exchanged it and you've got 2,150. This becomes your base rate. So you now head out to the town or the city that you're heading to, and lo and behold, they are offering 90.4. You then change up say a few more £100 of your money and you get a much better rate. However, you keep your base rate at 2,150. You live off this, and anything extra that you make that day, as I said, you will save. Now the amount of money difference is 110 rupees, which is quite a lot of money. Now over the course of a week, that's going to be like 770 rupees. Over the course of a month, that's really going to add up. So when you do need to spend it on something, you can. Also, this extra amount of money is really useful because should the exchange rate crash, or should you suffer some financial difficulty and you need to draw from some money, perhaps you need to get a flight, perhaps you need some medical help, you have this extra money saved because you're telling yourself that you're living off a much lower budget. So that is another reason why this method of money saving on money making is really good. So you always have this bit of money to draw from. We call this money the float, so watch out for that word in my videos because I'll just keep going on about it, especially at the last video, float. Okay, so you've learnt how to make money on the exchange. So how to understand the rupee in India. Now when I first arrived in India years ago, I was a bit confused. I was like, what does 3,200 mean? What's 44,000 mean? And like, what's 150,000 rupees? Because it sounds like huge amounts of money. So basically what you do, if something's priced at 3,000 rupees, what does this mean? So what you do is you move the decimal place back one place. So 3,000 looks like, then you move it back, it looks like 30 with 2 zeros afterwards, so it looks more like £30, which is a more realistic amount for how much it is. Obviously you then work it out and it's about £33. It's still quite close to 30. And if something is priced at 55,000 rupees, again you move the decimal place back so it's more like 550. You then work out the exchange, and the exchange rate on that is £608. So you can see, although it sounds like a lot, 55,000, it's actually 608. So that's another good way of getting your head around how much things cost. Especially when you're trying to buy something that's a little bit more expensive, or perhaps entry fees, national parks, and they quote you a price of like 5,600 or something. Especially when you first arrive, it can be a bit overwhelming because in England we have, you know, the pound coin, and we don't really deal with lots of decimal places with our money. So that's a basic overview of how to make money on the exchange, and also how to understand the rupee. Please watch my other travel videos on my channel, and also visit GuyRoseTravels.com for more budget backpacker advice. Please tune in next time because I'll be talking about average daily costs, expenses versus reality. Okay, good night.